In this training video, we are going to go through proper use of fire extinguishers and a little bit of fire safety. What our goals are is to give you information about fires and the classes of fires and the types and uses of fire extinguishers and how to use fire extinguishers. A fire, you have a fire triangle, and it takes three things to keep a fire going. The first item is oxygen. The next item is some type of fuel. This could be paper, grease, gasoline, wood, things like that. And the third thing is heat or some kind of ignition source. And with those three things, you create a chain reaction and you have a fire. Now, the different classes of fires are: Class A is ordinary combustibles. This could be wood, paper, plastic, and garbage. Or Class B, which is flammable liquids: grease, gasoline, oil, solvents, hand sanitizers, highly flammable. A Class C fire is electrical equipment, appliances, switches, panel boxes, power tools, computers, refrigerators, radios, coffee pots, to name a few. And then a Class K is a kitchen fire. This typically is grease, either in an oven or on top of a stove. Now, the types of fire extinguishers are a dry chemical fire extinguisher. This is the best all-around choice. Helps to prevent reignition. It does make a mess when you do discharge it. And the Class ABC fire extinguisher contains a powder that is ammonium phosphate. Fight or flight decision. When the alarm is pulled and the fire department has been called, the fire is small and contained. You want to avoid smoke. Make sure your exits are clear. And extinguishers nearby. Now, going through this, we will talk about the use of a fire extinguisher. But in the event of a fire, a small fire, a trash can fire, you probably should not use a fire extinguisher, because if you spray the powder down into the trash can, it will just blow everything out of the trash can. You can take something and smother it, a coat, a jacket, a blanket, down into it. But first and foremost, we are really worried about the safety of our children and our fellow staff members. So the event of a fire, you can evacuate the building. Make sure that all exits remain clear. Things are not piled up in front of exits or piled up in front of the fire extinguishers if you do use the fire extinguisher. Now, if you don't feel comfortable using the fire extinguisher, I would leave the building. The building can be replaced. And we'll go through a short video on how to use a fire extinguisher.
Hi, I'm Joel with the Bremerton Fire Department, and I'd like to take a moment to talk with you about fire extinguishers. Fire extinguishers are a safe, effective tool for extinguishing small fires. When it comes to fire, be smart. This fire extinguisher, which most people have in their home, will discharge its entire contents in 10 to 15 seconds. That is why we use fire extinguishers on small fires. Fire extinguishers are rated A, B, and C fires. A being ordinary combustibles such as paper and wood products. B being flammable and combustible liquids such as gas. C for electrical fires such as your toaster or blender. To use the extinguisher, remember pass. Pull, aim, squeeze, and sweep. Pull the pin. Aim at the base of the fire, not the flames. Squeeze the trigger. And sweep at the base of the fire. Pull the pin. Aim at the base of the fire, not the flames. Squeeze the trigger and sweep at the base of the fire. Some important things to remember. Always keep the exit between you and the fire. If the fire grows rapidly and becomes too large to extinguish, exit the area. If you are inside, shut the doors on your way out. Keep the extinguisher where it is accessible. Small fires spread rapidly. In summary, fire extinguishers are used to extinguish small fires. Never put yourself at risk by attempting to extinguish large fires. Possessions can be replaced. You can't.
Los incendios son una de las más comunes emergencias tanto en la casa y en el lugar de trabajo. En la Universidad de California de Riverside suena una alarma de incendios casi cada día debido principalmente a comida quemada. Sabiendo cómo utilizar un extinguidor de incendios podría salvarle la vida. Los extinguidores de incendios son para la lucha contra incendios pequeños. Si hay un incendio, siga el plan de emergencia de su edificio. Empleados que han sido entrenados y diseñados evaluarán si es seguro para combatir el fuego. Si el fuego es demasiado grande o las condiciones son peligrosas, todas las personas deben evacuar. Asegúrese de verificar las inscripciones en la etiqueta para confirmar que el extinguidor que tiene es adecuado para el tipo de fuego que enfrenta. Las más comunes clases de incendios son A, B, C y K. Incendios clase A incluyen combustibles ordinarios tales como madera, tela y papel. Incendios clase B incluyen líquidos flamables tales como gas, petróleo y algunas pinturas. Incendios clase C incluyen equipos de tensión eléctrica como electrodomésticos, alambres, televisores y computadoras. Incendio clase K incluyen aceites de cocina y grasa. Recuerda conducir una inspección visual. Asegúrese que la etiqueta en el extinguidor ha sido verificada por inspecciones mensuales. Después, asegúrese que el extinguidor tenga un pin, un sello, una boquilla que no sea obstruida por escombros y que la aguja esté en lo verde. Esta aguja indica si el extinguidor tiene suficiente químico para apagar la llama. Un extinguidor de incendios contiene alrededor de 5 libras de un químico multipropósito seco. Aunque no sean tóxicos, solicita una evaluación médica para cualquier molestia de inhalación accidental. No es necesario mucho polvo para extinguir un incendio. Sin embargo, el polvo se extiende bastante. Por lo tanto, asegúrese que tenga una clara ruta de escape que usted pueda ver, porque si los extinguidores de incendios son usados, entonces usted no podrá ver y usted puede volverse desorientado. Se tarda 45 segundos para acabarse un extinguidor de incendios. Si usted tiene más fuego que el extinguidor pueda apagar, no intente de luchar contra él, solo informe a la gente y evacúe la zona. Una vez que confirme que su extinguidor es aceptable para usar, recuerde estas sencillas instrucciones. En primer lugar, antes de utilizarlo, asegúrese de utilizar la técnica de palma abierta de la mano derecha. Es importante recordar que los extinguidores de incendios están hechos para gente de mano derecha. Teniendo la palma abierta, impide el descargo accidental del extinguidor. No es posible sacar el pin mientras que el extinguidor está sido apretado. Cuando utilice un extinguidor, utilice la técnica de PASS. La P significa tirar el pin. El pin está asegurado con un sello de plástico. Usted tendrá que torcer el pin para librarlo, luego tirarlo. La correa negra retendrá el pin al extinguidor. Luego, use la mano izquierda para retirar la boquilla del titular. Esto le ayudará a realizar la A en PASS, que significa apuntar el base de la llama. Después, recuerde S, que significa apretar. Acérquese al fuego, asegurándose que esté 8 a 10 pies fuera del fuego. Apriete las asas juntas. Observe que la manija de abajo no se mueve y la manija de arriba es la que tiene que apretar. Cuando usted apriete el extinguidor, el químico saldrá empujando y apagando la llama, dejando que el material se enfríe y asfixiando el fuego con el químico. La última S significa barrer de lado a lado. En resumen, recuerda la técnica de PASS cuando se utilice un extinguidor, es decir, tire, apunte, apriete y barre. Un folleto de la información que acaba de ver puede ser enviado visitando la página www.ehs.ucr.edu. Este mensaje ha sido traído a usted por el ambiente de salud y seguridad, ayudando a prevenir accidentes, promover su salud y proteger el ambiente.
Now remember the word PASS, P-A-S-S. Easy way to remember how to use a fire extinguisher. The other thing is on the front of a fire extinguisher they have a nice set of instructions with pictures. So thinking of the word PASS, the P stands for pull the pin. The A stands for aim the nozzle. And you always want to start at least 8 feet back from the fire and always aim at the base of the fire, pushing the fire away from you. So squeeze the handle and it will start to spray the powder, and do this with a sweeping motion, always pushing the fire away from you. Do not ever spray down into a fire because it will possibly come back towards you. So always remember to push the fire away from you. When you're extinguishing a fire, you're removing one of the 3 items that it takes to create a fire or to have a fire. You're either removing the heat or the oxygen or even the fuel. And when you take one of those away, the fire can no longer exist. With the fire extinguishers, we do monthly inspections. Make sure that the fire extinguishers do not get covered up. I always see that they make an excellent coat rack for hanging your coat, your fanny packs, your emergency bag, or other items. Aprons from the kids when they're painting. Do not ever cover up a fire extinguisher. And if you happen to see the gauge of the fire extinguisher and the yellow needle is not in the green area, please report that to your center manager as soon as possible, because there is nothing worse than to try to use a fire extinguisher and you can't use it because it is not functioning. Make sure the pin and seal are intact and that there aren't any dents in it. If it falls off of the wall for some reason, gets knocked off of the wall, report that to your center manager so we can get it replaced. Make sure they're clean. Report anything out of the ordinary to your center manager. If it's damaged, if it's been discharged, that the gauge, the arrow is not in the green, or the tag is missing, or the seal has been tampered with, or it's missing. And then locations. Make sure that you do not take a fire extinguisher out of its location and move it someplace. Do not set it on the floor. It's always supposed to be on the wall or in the cabinet if it is set up that way. And it's not a coat rack or someplace to store fanny packs on. We've talked about the fire triangle, the three things that it takes to have a fire. The fire extinguisher eliminates one of those three items. The different classes, the A, B, C, or K. How to use your fire extinguisher, whether you're going to use it or you're going to leave the area, and then pass. For pull the pin, aim the nozzle, squeeze, and spray in a sweeping motion. Now, if you don't feel comfortable using a fire extinguisher, get out of the building. Make sure that if you're responsible for kids, that you do the appropriate measures that are in our procedures during a fire. You make sure you have all of your children with you before you leave the area and when you arrive to the designated meeting place. If you don't feel comfortable using a fire extinguisher, do not use it. Things that a fire extinguisher could be used for is if you get trapped someplace, it is a heavy metal canister that can break windows, or it can be used in the event of an intruder. You could hit them with it, or you could spray the powder towards them and disable them so you can get out of the area. And if you ever have questions about fire extinguishers or fires, please ask your center manager and she can pass it along to the facility operations specialist, or when the facility operations specialist is in your building, you can ask him the questions. We're going to have a couple of little videos here that show you some fires.
If your chip pan catches fire, don't panic. Just follow these instructions. 1. Turn off the heat. 2. Run a cloth under a tap and wring it out. 3. Cover the pan and then wait until it's cooled right down. Don't try and move the pan, and whatever you do, don't throw water over the fire. The effects can be devastating.
Never throw water on a grease fire. One of the things that I remember as a child that my grandmother always taught me was to keep a lid for the pan that you're using on top of the stove. In the event of a fire, remove the pan from heat. First put the lid on it and then remove it from heat. And that way you're taking away the heat. You're also taking away the oxygen because you've put a lid on top of it. Do not by any means, if it is a grease fire in a skillet, pick up that pan and try to take it outside. Turn the heat off, cover the pan, and leave it there until it's cool. If you happen to have a fire in your oven, do not open your oven door. Turn the oven off and leave the door shut. You've removed the heat, and with leaving the door shut, you're going to remove most of the oxygen and the fire should burn out. But anytime you have a fire in your home, always contact the fire department so they can come in and make sure that it's safe. This video is going to show you how a fire reacts and how fast it reacts.
The first thing you need to understand is how fire really works and how rapidly it can spread. In most structure fires, an event called flashover occurs, where smoke from the fire eventually bursts into flames, igniting everything beneath it. Let me show you how quickly this can happen if somebody had dropped a cigarette in this chair. Right now you can see the smoke coming up and the beginnings of flame. It's pumping out tremendous amounts of carbon monoxide, toxic fumes. The heat is beginning to build up. As the heat builds up, gradually the fire will ignite into flames and begin to send the heat up because it's buoyant and start the curtains burning and the continuation of the fire up into the ceiling levels. A lot of people think that a fire starts down low, but what you're going to see is this phenomenon of flashover where all the heat goes up and begins to heat everything above the chair. Right about now, a smoke detector would be going off in a house if we had one placed in there. And as you see the fire grow, as it licks up this curtain, if there was a sprinkler out about 8 feet diagonally from the corner of this room, it would be activating right now, either extinguishing the fire or actually controlling the fire and holding it right to this place. Right now the temperature of the ceiling is about 570 degrees. As it continues to build, you begin to see the banking down of the smoke from the ceiling. The heat is getting much more intense. The room is beginning to heat up tremendously. In fact, as you see the curtains dropping down, the level of smoke and heat can get down to about head high in just a few seconds. And it can be anywhere from 800 to 1,000 degrees. Right now, at the floor level of the room, it's about 212 degrees. That's the boiling point of the water. As you see this fire build, what's happening is it's changing the form of the chair into particles and putting it up into the room. Everything else, the plastics, the wood, all the combustible materials in the rooms are beginning to heat up. It's getting ready to create the phenomenon of flashover. You see the heat building down in the smoke. In just a few seconds, you'll see the entire room burst into flame. Everything in there that's combustible will instantly ignite. Right about now, flashover is occurring. You can see all the smoke turning orange, fire consuming all the combustibles. 2 minutes it took for the room to flash over. Now if you watch the base of the door, you're going to see something awesome. Most people don't see this. The fire will actually breathe. You can see the throat of the fire open up at the base of the door. See it breathing? In and out. When firefighters go up to a house where the door is closed, they can actually hear the sucking of the air coming in and then the pushing of the smoke and heat as it comes out. In just a moment, all the windows will explode and the fire will consume everything. There's no real reason why you have to fear flashover if you know what to do during a fire, and also if you have fire protection systems at home, at work, and when you travel.
As you can see in that video how fast fire spreads. It does not take very long for it to totally consume a room. That's why it's important to make sure that the area is safe and free of hazards that could cause fires. If you see something that could possibly cause a fire, please report it to your center manager immediately. And also make sure that you leave the room, leave the area, get the kids out, making sure that you have all of your kids and following the procedure for an evacuation in the event of a fire. Again, if you ever have any questions about things that you have seen in these videos, please do not hesitate to ask. Ask your center manager. She can forward the question to me, and I will get a response back to you as quick as I can. Again, thank you for your time.